You ever been asked repeatedly to speak up or repeat yourself and you find it very frustrating because when you try, either people still cannot hear you or you have to strain your throat. You have to strain your voice in order to be heard. A lot of people struggle with making their voices loud enough and they struggle with knowing how to do it in a healthy way. So today I'm going to share with you a couple of tips to get you started in learning how to project your voice in a healthy manner. But before we start, if you're new here, I have a free complete guide to healing trauma through the voice, the body, and nutrition. It's a great starter's guide to anyone who is working on healing the emotional trauma that is stuck in the body. And it is specifically geared towards those who use their voice for their healing practices. So I hope you'll check that out in the link below. Okay, so projection. It's a big topic and it's an important topic in singing lessons. Some of you may already know this, but classical singers learn how to project without using microphones. That's the classical tradition because the technique was developed before electricity. So opera singers had to carry their sound across large theaters without any microphones. And so we learn the technique when we study classical singing lessons. So, like I said, it's a big topic, and I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this one video, but I can get you started. And that's the best thing we can do right now. So, I'm going to teach you two techniques. But first, let's think about what is needed for projection of the voice. The first thing that's needed is power. When we think about getting louder, we're talking about having a more powerful voice. So we need a power source. The power source is in our diaphragm, in our solar plexus area. The lungs, not sorry, the lungs, the rib cage is where the diaphragm lives. And when we inhale, the diaphragm actually gets bigger like a balloon. So we inhale and our diaphragm fills up with air and then we exhale and the air from the diaphragm gets pushed into the lungs, goes through the larynx, and then we get our sound. So that brings me to the second part of our formula for today. We need to create more space in our mouth for the sound to come out. A lot of people, especially in America, because of our accent and the way we use our tongue in our speech, the tongue sticks up in a way where it blocks the opening of the throat. And then the top of the mouth, where the soft palate sits, it's just this very soft, small tissue, but it hangs down kind of low. And so when you have the tongue bumping up and then you have the soft palate kind of dipping down, you have less space for the sound to come out. And so what we have to learn to do when we want to project is we have to learn how to bring our tongue down and lift our palate. It's very challenging to do this, but it's not impossible. So I want to get you started first with opening up the space in your throat. I'm going to show you a very simple exercise that you can do. You can do this anytime you want. You can do this when you're sitting in traffic and you're so bored. You can be like, oh, I'll practice opening up my throat. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to do a gasp as if we've just been startled. So we're going to go like that. So go ahead and do that and notice what happens to the back of your throat. Notice the top of your mouth, how it lifts up. Do that a few times. Okay. All a singer does is a singer learns how to do that on command without making that gasping sound. It's muscle control, really. And the tongue, we can try to get our tongue to go down by simulating a yawn. So I'm going to pay attention to the back of your tongue for a moment. Just move your tongue around first. You got to get to know the feeling of it. So move it around. Notice the back of your tongue. And then drop the back of your tongue as if you're about to yawn and make a sound like this. Oh, oh. I like to imagine this is the sound of a big dopey but friendly monster character in a children's movie. And he would talk like, "Oh man." He would talk like that. So try to make that sound. Drop the back of your tongue as if you're about to yawn and go, "Oh. Oh." Try to do that. Try to memorize that feeling, okay? Now we're going to do the gasp exercise or the gasp sound where we feel the top of our mouth, the soft palate lift up. So go. And you might have noticed that your tongue kind of dropped down a little bit too. So do that again with more attention. Now do it without the sound. Oh, lift it in the back. Oh, okay. So, like I said, you don't have to master this today. Just start getting to know these parts and start practicing training the muscle. Remember, the tongue is a muscle. Any muscle can be trained. It just needs to have consistent practice. So, practice dropping the back of your tongue. Go, oh. If you're doing it right, you will start yawning. That's how you can tell. And practice doing that little, and then do it without the sound. Now, let's talk about the power source. We've talked about opening up the space in our throat so that more sound can come out. Let's get the power source. So I'm going to back up here so you can I want you to see my waist. I tried to lift my chair up as high as I could. It's important that you have a straight back when you do this exercise. Standing could be a good idea. I just don't have the room in my studio. So I want you to bring your attention to the bottom of your rib cage and just put your fingers in this area right here. And we're going to just do a few slow breaths. And I want you to notice the muscles. The first thing when we're trying to learn a new technique is we get to know the area that is actually being used. And we just do that by paying attention. So put your hands right here in your upper abdomen area, feeling the rib cage. And we're going to take in a slow inhale through an invisible straw. And then we're going to exhale through the same straw like this. We feel that expansion, we feel it, and then we slowly exhale with control. We do that again and we feel everything expand. Hold it. Then we exhale and we feel it all contract. Let's do that again. One more. Inhale. Hold and exhale. So you are now aware of all the muscles working here whenever you inhale and when you exhale. So air is our literal fuel source, but the power comes from the muscles in our abdomen area. So now we're going to do the sounding exercise to engage these muscles with sound. The sound we're going to use is the ha, ha sound. And this is a good sound to use because think about it for a moment. Have you ever had one of those laughs, those belly laughs where it hurts because you're laughing so hard, these muscles become engaged and they're squeezed so much because they're becoming active and it hurts because you're not used to using these muscles. We're going to engage the same muscles, but we're going to do it on purpose and we're going to do it with our speech. So here's the exercise. I'm going to pay attention to this area and I'm going to say, ha, ha, ha. And I'm trying to kick these muscles out as I do it. So hand right here and do this with me. Ha, ha, ha. Try to feel it down here. If it's up here, try to drop it down a little bit lower. Ha, ha, ha. Good. Let's try that again. Ha, ha, ha. Drop the back of your tongue. Try that big dopey monster sound. Oh, oh. And combine it with the ha diaphragm pushes. Ha, 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 ha. And you can hear that even after a few times, I'm starting to get a little bit more power in my voice too. I'm still warming up. It's early in the day for me. Now, we're going to do one more exercise like this. And this one comes from a women's self-defense class I took many, many years ago. And I thought it was so effective that I started using it in my voice lessons. And instead of saying ha, ha, we're going to say no, no, no. So this is a very cathartic exercise to do, especially if you have some built up anger. So engage these muscles, and we're going to go no, no, no. Go ahead. No, no, no. Try that several times. And the first time you do it, it may not be as effective. It can be really scary learning how to use your strong, powerful voice. But once you start practicing, it's just like anything else. You train the muscles to behave in a certain way. Eventually, they get the message that this is what we do now. And eventually, it becomes automatic. And you don't even have to think about it anymore. That's my ultimate goal for you, is that you learn how to speak with authority and confidence. That's our exercise for today. If you'd like to continue with a journal prompt, go ahead and think about a time when you stood up for yourself and you felt, well, how did you feel about it? Let's just start with that exercise. Think of a time when you did stand up for yourself. What happened? Did you feel good about it, or did you feel guilty? Were you rewarded, or were you punished? Contemplate that for a while, and then imagine what it would be like if you could speak up for yourself without fear. So I hope you found this helpful. Two things before we go. First, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. And also, don't forget to download my free guide, The Beginner's Guide to Healing Trauma Through Voice, Body, and Nutrition. I put a lot of thought in putting it together for you. Healing trauma and healing voice issues is a pretty daunting task and requires a lot of support in the process. And so I compiled a list of exercises for the voice, as well as the massage technique to open up the throat. And there's also a meal plan in there to help your body get the nutritional support it needs while it deals with processing heavy emotional issues. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.